So part two of the Youth Ministry Survival Guide video book report, I was talking about kids and how kids are still developing that frontal part of their minds. And so it's important for us to understand that, instead of getting frustrating with them, that they're still developing and up here in their heads so that they can actually begin to, make decisions about their faith in the future. Now, the second thing when it comes to kids with integrity, we must have a sexual integrity. The book gave some examples of how lives and ministries were destroyed by sexual impropriety. If you have sex with a kid, you're going to go to jail. We must realize that we are human and that we are capable of moral failure. Therefore, we need to be on our guard. And that made me think of 1 Peter 5:8. How the devil is a roaring lion, waiting and seeking who he can devour. So it's important for us to be on our guard at all times. We must recognize situations where you are most vulnerable. Set rules in place not to allow yourself to be in a compromising situation where you're in the same room as the opposite sex. And then, of course, you always want to have different types of accountability in place as well. Always have accountability in place. Now, the book talked about two different models. And, the first model was a inside-out youth group where the youth pastor will focus on the kids within the youth group and then maybe go out and evangelize so they can invite their friends. And the second way is actually, the outside-in model where that youth pastor will go out and find kids and bring them into the youth group. Now, one of the reasons why this can cause conflict is because, one, you have a different philosophy if you're on the same page as your senior pastor. But two, it can also be difficult for kids and parents and church leaders because, not everyone's acceptable to change. The book pointed out 5 main reasons why people don't like change. Number 1 being change is uncomfortable. 2, they lack confidence in their leaders. 3, they don't own the change. And 4, they're uncertain where change will lead them. And 5, they're tired of continuous change. So these are different things on why people don't like change. But they said the book also pointed out that people will be acceptable to change if these things occur. 1, if they're convinced that the change is a legitimate reason. And 2, they see the old system is no longer meeting the needs. 4, they now know that they no longer have the answers. And then 5, their attitudes have been changed as well. I thought that was really neat because sometimes, that will help us. And if we're moving from one model, the outside in, or to the inside out, knowing where we're coming from and understanding one another will help the change process. I highly encourage you to check out the book. I thought it's really great. I'm a little bit older now, but I think that this book would have been helpful in my early years. Being involved in youth ministry. Sometimes when you're young, you don't think about, some of the things that parents are thinking or how your senior pastor may be thinking. So this book gives some really good tips on how to understand them and how to, maintain that communication between you and senior leadership so that, you can continue in ministry and have a spiritual impact on lives and fulfill the purpose that God's called you to do. So I highly encourage you to check out the book and stay tuned for more in the future.